Welcome to AUMARCHE, and today we have like Natasha in the room, and she'll tell us her like vision, her stories, and her design. So can you please introduce yourself a little bit?
So hi, I'm Natasha. I'm from Hull in Northern England, and I'm in my final year studying fashion print at Central St Martin's, and I'm graduating this year.
Sounds good. So before I dig into your graduate collection, I'll just understand a little bit more about your past experience because you did a work placement before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Okay, so I wanted to work a big label and a small label, so it would give me that contrast of scale in design. And so I worked at 16 Arlington, which is a really small up-and-coming label. And then I also spent 3 months at Alexander McQueen, so complete opposite ends of the spectrum. And at both of those, I worked kind of doing print design, kind of textile. And I was surprised at both really how creative they allowed me to be. So you have this reputation on your internship, you're not going to get to do much of what you do at uni. But I was really surprised, and especially at McQueen, it was almost going back to basics and going back to a really traditional way of doing things. So I spent almost 2 or 3 weeks just drawing at the beginning of that process, and then learning about the traditional ways of doing repeats and engineering and stuff like that. And all of that learning about traditional processes has really sort of helped me in my final year, because it helped me to learn the rules, which has allowed me to bend them, I guess. It's that thing of, being able to know the way you do it, to be able to subvert it, but you still have that context of how it's done before, which makes a more successful outcome on the whole. No, it was a great year until COVID.
Yeah. So when you talk about the drawing, is it using the computer or is it more using by hand?
So it was actually by hand. So I did painting, they bought me paints and kind of, literally pencil and paper. It was
That's really interesting.
Yeah, which you wouldn't expect for a big label. I was ready to sit and do it all on Photoshop, and it was really different to what I expected.
Oh, that's really cool. And 16 Arlington, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was it? Do you also do print there, or
Yeah, so I did print there, and they almost gave me my own kind of little project, really complete reign over a few different outfits for their autumn winter 20 collection. And yeah, they were going to give me inspiration, and I honestly just completely self-directed it myself. And that was really valuable, because you learn so much because you have to teach yourself, and that's the most valuable way of learning anything.
And this is really interesting because when you actually work in a brand as an intern, that they give you this power to do like whatever you want is really good. And at the same time, you just need to sort of kind of adapting the aesthetic or the character of this brand and just merge it into this thing. That's really interesting. Yeah. So you said that you had the Days Media experience too. Can you tell me a little bit about that as well?
So Days was a whirlwind. It really was. It was very, very crazy all of the time. Yeah, I did a lot of I saw a lot of collections. In a way, it was really good of my awareness of what everybody else was doing, because you just see everything come in the door all of the time. That was good. They gave me you still do a lot of bringing up people about press loans. I think they give you your own little freedom and projects, which was really nice. But yeah, I saw some beautiful clothes. Oh, I really want that bag or that Gucci skirt. It fills your head with stuff that you want, for sure.
So why would you, because you're a design student, in what way do you think that why inspire you to go to a press or a media company to actually do the placement?
So I wanted to see the different side of it, because as a designer, it's quite helpful to have an awareness of how people receive your work, and I see how they curate and how things work in terms of editorial and the way that styling works as well. It's really helpful as a designer, because you don't really know when you're doing it yourself. It helps you to step back and go, what are people thinking about this? How do I put it together?
Especially when you become really big role creative director, you really need to have that skill to put everything together.
Yeah, you become more of a curator than a designer at the top.
So before you did an internship and this work placement, and after, do you change your design approach, or what your design approach was and now?
So I became a lot more like the beginning of the process. I feel like I have to get through this quickly to get to because at CSM we have quite tight deadlines. So I'd always go, okay, research, bang, straight into making something. But actually I learned that research time and just working through something, even if it's just a drawing or something, is really, really valuable in the process of making something that's got a real grounding to it.
Yeah. So you almost finished your final collection. I'm really curious about that. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I started with all of that in lockdown, really. And I think it was quite a weird time because it was in this vacuum of nothingness, and it made me quite nostalgic and wanting to bring parts of my past life back to life, really, and having this like just living through a screen feeling. So it made me think about what makes things real and how we kind of live with technology and objects in a blended reality way. So things on the computer are real, but are also not real, if you get what I mean. So it's quite, I found that part of it really interesting, and how a computer is an artificial brain. So it's like with that.
It's almost really surreal in a way.
It's really surreal. Working with, I don't know, my grandfather and also my boyfriend work with artificial intelligence and machine learning. So I see quite a lot of the way that, you can program a machine to think, and how that teaches you about yourself, how humans think and how we experience the world and reality as a whole.
That's really interesting. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, no, okay, sorry. So I work with that, and I thought I wanted to make something that you could replay the past and replay reality in real time. So I came across these RGB LED light screens. The way it's quite pixely, because it reminds me of when you sort of zoom into a photo, you get like pixel effect. It's quite, I don't know, quite cool. So I sort of wanted to have this collection where you could play a video print, moving print across the full collection, and see it more as a whole rather than as a garment by garment.
That's really interesting. So while you're doing this final collection, do you actually, is there something, it's because I mean, for me, I don't know much about it. Do you have any technique background before you actually dig into this, or it's entirely new to you?
It was one of those things where it was like a half. I had a bit of experience, but I've learned so much on this journey collection wise. It's been
I can imagine.
Learning curve. So yeah, I sort of, when you start, you think you know everything, but you don't. So it's one of those. I'm quite new to it, and I've had lots of help from lots of people that know even more than me, and that's always great to have.
Yeah. So I mean, when you say that machine learning and this LED light bulb, do you really? I mean, is it you need to use that very hot stick to put everything together, or how do you do it? You need to sew things?
No, so it's a real electronics building project. So you do things with soldering, wires, circuit boards, Raspberry Pi computers, which are tiny micro computers plugged in. You literally just put an SD card in there, but to make the Raspberry Pi read the video, you have to write a program in code. So it's an algorithm that reads your code and plays the video, and also makes the Raspberry Pi talk to each other, I suppose, across the garments. So garments are talking to each other and they pass the print along. Is the best way to describe it in simple terms.
That's very interesting, because it all sounded very engineering in a way, like instead of fashion. But I love that how you merge these whole things together and create. But is the clothes a little bit hard, or like is it still soft? Because
it's still quite the working with the electricity side and the body. It's been a bit of a challenge, because obviously you've got safety issues. There's certain parts of the circuits that I need to box off and keep quite safe, and everything needs to be quite well wrapped. But in terms of the LEDs, they come on a flexi strip, so it's the same. It's quite bendy. So it's not the most flexible thing, but I mean, I had it on models on Thursday, and you can definitely move your arms. Quite light. It's just a heavy jacket fabric feeling, and then you just run the wires down. I kind of run them different places and stuff like that. So it's, it works quite well as a garment rather than just feeling you're wearing a TV.
That's really interesting, because you said that you need to put in LED cards, so with all the programs. Does it need to be plugged in? Or
no, it runs off a battery, and the battery are about the size of they're about this size, and they're about the weight of a mobile phone. So for
Wow.
the amount of power, they're astonishingly small and light.
That's really interesting. So this apparently you probably got inspired by your grandfather, you said, and your boyfriend, and this thing. That is there anything that's actually inspired? So what's the inspiration behind this?
Yeah,
It's
so
just 2020. Yeah, sorry.
yeah, so the inspiration behind it was finding a way to explore nostalgia and reality. And my main visual reference came from my grandparents' life in Hull, because my grandfather was this programmer, and I had this really quite eccentric, loud kind of 1980s living room taste photograph. They were very like bold, and I don't know, I love that vibe. So this visual reference was all about bringing these photographs back to life. In this, bringing it back to reality, really. So yeah, I've kind of worked with a lot of chintz and that stuff as well.
So do you think in the future all the fashion houses will be more tend to be or a little bit more have more involved in the tech, or do you think it's still gonna be what they are doing right now?
It's definitely coming. I mean, I think I've seen prototype Chanel bags that actually use kind of these LED things in a different way. But and also Iris Van Herpen, she uses, all that 3D printed animatronic stuff. So it's coming. The thing with fashion is it's almost the last frontier. So we wear it on our bodies. It's such an intimate thing. So you have to reach that real level of trust with material. And with technology, that is coming. We're getting there with it, and it will continue to, more and more of this will come around as people get more comfortable with it.
I know fashion, sometimes they are a little bit more skeptical about tech, but what do you think about this up and coming virtual fashion?
Yeah, fashion is almost one of the most traditional industries there is, but actually fashion and tech are very similar in the process they take. What I do is almost an engineered electronic craft, like the same you do in design. You work on something and refine it, and you're thinking, what is the best solution I can get from this? And you're doing the exact same process. You think the exact same way. So honestly, it's not, they're very, very similar to each other. So that's why I don't know, it's a lot of people in fashion see it's quite alien, but it really isn't. It's quite close to it, but yeah, it's coming. People will accept it more as time goes on.
Yeah. So how about the virtual fashion? What's your intake about that?
It's a great answer to sustainability in the way that it feels like it doesn't really need to be real for people to be able to experience it. And in that way, you save material. I'm questioning what we use fashion for. And, it is for that peacocking or that beautiful image. That we're like, wow, that's a gorgeous image. But I think sometimes it doesn't. It's great that you can make these crazy things and almost anyone can wear it. It really democratizes fashion on the whole. Because you can say, I want these flaming trainers, and then you can just have them and wear them, but you don't have to have gone through all of the materials to make that one cool thing for that one image. So definitely for editorial and stuff, and these big image-based things is really great. But also there's still that place for the materiality in fashion, that feeling of that fabric on your skin. So, it will never replace fashion, but it's a really fun avenue that's coming, and, it's really exciting.
Definitely, virtual fashion is a thing. It's more digitalized, and then it is quite interesting to see how it will turn out to be in the future. How like digital and like reality like stay together, and that's really cool. So back to you. What do you think? What's your vision for the future? Your future, or
so what I want to do?
Yeah, it's almost like that.
Yeah, so I'd love to keep selling my electric bags and all my accessories and stuff. I'm really passionate about a blended. I fit in that space between material fashion and digital fashion. So I have that flexibility, but also that materiality. So I'd like to continue doing what I'm doing, but sell it to some people, or have people wear it out and about. That would be my dream.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot wait for that, because I mean, I really want to see the designer actually merge the tech thing. I wouldn't say it's tech, just different material, different medium you use, but into fashion and into this is almost a future of fashion in a way, or a way to express yourself with, I don't know, you can change your bag really quickly without even buying a new bag, for example. That's a really interesting idea. So so back to the idea, because I just have a thought, because what you said about your final graduate collection, it's you did one silhouette, but it's 8 look, right?
It's
4 look.
or it's 4 looks. We've
Yes,
kind
full
of had,
look.
we've had, I think it's usually 6, and then we've had a bit more of a pared back approach because of COVID and our access
Yeah.
to the studios. But some people are doing more, some people are doing less. But for me, 4 was a good number because I've got the bag and all my outfits, so it worked well electrically speaking. Like I don't know, it was a good number.
This is really smart. You have one silhouette and then it's 4 look. It's almost like, I mean, it's the future of sustainability that you don't actually need to own that many clothes, but you can change it every single day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's great. I haven't had to make that. I've got to make that decision of what print I'm wearing here, and I haven't had to make too many of those decisions because if I don't like it, I'll just change it later. If I get bored with it, I'll just change the video, and I can do that. And it's just it's very liberating.
Yeah, and then I feel in the future, I mean, this is also really about individuality too. You can like custom make your own, I don't know, outfit in a way. That would be really interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
So I need to ask this because this is the topic of this issue. So is there anything new you can tell me? Anything you experience, something you learn, or something you care about?
So to do with tech and fashion, or just in general?
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, my biggest recent big experience was modeling. Because of COVID, we're modeling our own looks. So the weirdest thing for me is being my own model, and that's been kind of one of my big new experiences recently, wearing my own clothes, and with the electrical thing as well. It's quite, I don't know, it's a bit of an interesting one wearing it on yourself, but yeah, it's good.
I mean, I think I did that all the time when I was during my last year, final year. I mean, actually, the whole when I was studying, because I was doing women's wear, and then I was just wearing all these clothes at home, no one can see me. I don't live with any other people. It's myself, so that's why it's a little bit harder to find a model. Well, thank you very much for the talk today, and wow, I cannot wait to see your outcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.